Scorching.
Scorcher.
Hot. Da 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 da.
Who was
Feeling
that?
hot,
Who was
hot,
it?
hot.
Hot.
Buster Poindexter.
Oh, Buster Poindexter. Right.
Yes.
Okay. I get
He's
him
so on
confused
fire,
with the
feeling hot.
little bit of Monica in my life. A
Oh,
little
that's
bit
Lou.
of
That's Lou Bega, Mambo
Lou
number
Vega.
5.
Okay, yeah. Mambo
Yes.
number 5. Orange Blue today, number, I don't know, 365. When did we start this show, Mace? Like, we got to be coming up on the anniversary, right?
Wasn't our first show the
like
week
week 1?
Yeah, like did we start it on the Monday night of the Seahawks game, or did we do it leading up to that?
We might have done it leading up to it. We could always go back and look, but we're here now a year later and still figuring stuff out. But we're here for you. You are in San Francisco, my friend, or Santa Clara. What?
Yeah,
where are you?
I'm a long ways from San Francisco. I'm down in Santa Clara right now. I'm actually literally where I'm staying. If you just take a hop, skip, and a jump over the freeway, you go down the road about a mile and a half. I'm right near Levi Stadium. It's a long walk if I wanted to walk, but it's not. You know, it's
right.
I'm out here among the tech office buildings. That's the other thing. If you've ever been to Levi Stadium where the 49ers play, it is in a very kind of unassuming part of the Bay Area. Now, it's actually not too far from the amusement park as well. But like when you're driving to the stadium, you're basically passing one suburban office building, one that's usually got tech firms after another. It's if you recognize the environment from Office Space, that kind of area, that's exactly what we're talking about. I half expect to see a sign for Initech and a banner asking, "Is this good for the company?"
I love when Peter tears that banner down.
Yeah, but I'm wearing the wrong shirt for that sort of thing because Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to wear
a Hawaiian shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Bill, we got a big problem. Lots of money missing. Let's Lumberg. Yeah. Oh, I can't continue that statement.
Anyway. Exactly. You can't. Because this is are we G or PG? I think we're probably
PG.
I think we're PG.
PG-13 sometimes, but it depends on where our viewers' mind is in the gutter. But let's talk about the roller coaster that has been Russell Wilson, but it's been a fun ride these last week or so, Mace. So our headline asks, your thumbnail asks, is this good for the company? Is Russell Wilson's hot streak going to continue against the 49ers?
Yeah, hope so. I was asked this morning with Stink and Mike Evans about, you know, what kind of constitutes a successful game. Part of it, I think, for the offense and Russell Wilson, it's getting into a rhythm early. It took 4 possessions to really find the groove. And even on that 4th possession, you see what I'm getting at, a little Freudian slip there. Mm-hmm. Protection wasn't great. So I think Russell Wilson, in terms of what he can control, should do fine and stay hot. The question is, will the guys up front be able to protect him well to where he can get comfortable and get into a rhythm and not absorb the kind of punishment they took last week? You don't want your quarterback taking hits like that at any time, but especially in the preseason when the stakes are so low. I mean, when you see Russell Wilson taking hits right now, it makes you nervous.
Yeah, because there's no need to right now. You want him to carry over that momentum, as Brian mentions. And you were there as well for that perfect practice. And then in the game, all he had to do was seal the deal. And he couldn't hit Jordan Taylor. Trevor Siemian looks good.
Wasn't it actually a perfect period of practice? Not a practice. It was.
I think it was the whole practice.
What I remember is the red zone period, and it was
red zone
7 on. Yeah. Red zone 7-on-7. He was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But it was 7-on-7. But for Paxton being perfect in red zone 7-on-7, that means something because this is the guy who would take off and scramble in 7-on-7, which. Right. I know Sean Payton has said sometimes is fine. No, you don't do that. No. You shouldn't. 7-on-7 is designed to force you to make a decision in X amount of time. And as Rush saying, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. If you choose not to decide to throw to somebody, you've still made a choice, and it's the wrong one. Jarrett Stidham has been a victim of that in 7-on-7 a few times so far this summer.
Right, and we'll continue to see those backups play. So Russell Wilson, we're expecting him to carry momentum over. I don't want him to see ghosts. That's the one thing I'm going to be watching out for, Mace.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the pressure. That's fine. Stay with the play as long as you can. That's fine. Take off and run if you have to. That's fine. Don't do it if it's not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A throwaway is not a bad play. If you've gotten out of the pocket, avoided grounding, that's okay if it's not there. Yeah, don't. I know you got some flack for talking about seeing ghosts, right? Didn't I see some negative responses in the comments about that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes the truth hurts.
Right. We experience that from time to time. It is Orange and Blue today. We are presented by Sean Ponda. We know Javonte Williams is going to play. We know he's going to get about 4 touches. Let's say that. And because is it Slidell that does it? How would you like as many as 4 people underneath you, directly underneath you? Like, how would you like as many as 4 touches for Javonte Williams? What are we expecting? Because I'm expecting like less than 4 yards of carry. Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting much. I want Javonte to take a hit, get tackled, get back up, feel better on Sunday. I'm not expecting a whole lot from Javonte Williams. What about you?
Not expecting much either. I think you hit the nail right on the head. If it's 4, I'm expecting, if I had to put a number on it, 4 carries, 12 yards.
Okay. I would take that.
It isn't great, but this is about ramping him up. If he happens to go off and take a handoff from Russell Wilson, break a tackle, that's phenomenal. I'd say, hey, if he gets 125-yard run, I might be like, okay, I'm good. Even though you do want to test him out and you want to see him, what happens next. And because what you're trying to figure out as you ramp up towards week 1 is you're trying to figure out how many consecutive plays can he carry the ball as well. Like, is he going to be at a place by week 1 where if you want him to carry it 3 consecutive times, he could? If not, you adapt accordingly. You just prepare to have liberal substitutions and get Samaje Perine in there.
Yeah, get Perine in there and get it going. Now, there is rumblings that Garrett Bolles' job could be in jeopardy. I don't see that, Mace. You and I have cautioned fans or, said, hey, you should probably give Garrett Bolles some grace in terms of like, well, where's that injury at? Because his feet are gone. He doesn't look the same. He's hugging a lot. He's holding a lot. There are some promoting the idea that you could just get rid of him now. And I'm like, I don't see that. Anything can happen. You never say never. But Edward asked in the chat room, is Bolles' job in jeopardy? I don't think so for this year. I mean, what other answers do you? I know Cam Fleming. Yes, that's fine. But like, you got to have depth, baby. And Fleming's your depth. You're going to need Fleming this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Let's take a look at
the salary cap,
the implications here, right? So anyway, if they were to cut, first of all, if they cut him next year after playing this year, it's an instant $16 million savings, $4 million on next year's cap, right? If they cut him this year, okay, based on what I see here, it's the guaranteed salary is $2 million. There's a per game roster bonus of $250K, and then a prorated bonus of $4 million. So they could cut him today, Cecil, and save $11.823 million on the cap this year, with $4 million of dead money next year. Because the thing is, the guaranteed salary portion of the contract only has $2 million left to it, and that's this year. I see where that speculation is coming from, because you are already at a point where you can generate some savings. And look, even though you may not use the savings now, you can carry that over to next year.
Yes.
So basically, if he were to not make the 53-player roster, instead of the Broncos just saving $16 million on next year's cap, they would save a total of $27.8 million, with $11.8 million saved this year and $16 million saved next year, because it would be divided over 2 years. So I believe it. I always say follow the money, as was often said in All the President's Men. If if the Broncos don't feel he's delivering and they feel they can get comparable play from Cam Fleming, there is a cap-related reason to move on. The only thing is you're compromising yourself in terms of depth. And let's face it, I mean, you also don't want to get nothing back for him. By the way, if they traded him this year, the guaranteed salary would go to the team that traded for him. All the Broncos being left with would be the prorated portion of the signing bonus, which means a trade of Garrett Bolles would save them $13.8 million on this year's cap with $4 million of dead money. And then, of course, $4 million dead money next year, $16 million saved. That would be the same.
Yeah, the chat room is fired up about the trade Bolles talk. Like it's interesting. Just that depth thing is concerning for me because if your tackles are Cam Fleming and Isaiah Prince, like, and I don't mind Cam Fleming. I don't mind Cam Fleming as a left.
How much do you like Alex Palshevsky? Because when I write my piece,
been getting work.
I'll tell you what, I'm writing my piece for tomorrow morning, previewing the players to watch out for. And it's focused on the players that are looking to stack games, right? Elijah Garcia, Jaleel McLaughlin, Alex Palshevsky is another one. Alex Palshevsky played really well last week. Can he do it again? If he can, I mean, look, when you're talking those numbers I threw out, I mean,
that's not insignificant.
No, saving an extra 11.8 or 13.8 million. I mean, that's close to paying for. I mean, just name the contract. I mean, let's say Javonte Williams doesn't come all the way back, and maybe you want to bring in a running back at midseason. Maybe there's one available on the market. You can do that. That we're not talking about $1 million here, $1 million there. We're talking about money that could be used to bring in a starter. And if you don't use it right now, again, you can carry that over to next year. And when we're in the universe of, we're trying to evaluate Russell Wilson, we're trying to see if he's worth having on the roster for the 5th day of the league year when that 2025 money would become guaranteed. If you have to move on from Russell Wilson, every dollar is going to matter.
Right.
And that's $11.8 million that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Or if you trade him, $13.8 million. This is, I think
it's a fascinating
I think it's something
topic,
you have to think about.
And you have to think about it if you're the Broncos, and you have to think about it if you're George Payton. And here's the other thing. If he plays well, what do you do with Lloyd Cushenberry's contract? Like now all of a sudden, if you get rid of Bolles to save some money, you move to next year. Now you're getting Lloyd Cushenberry for free, essentially, based on our numbers right now. So it's not something I'm expecting, Mace. And I say never, but as Reggie McDaniel used to say, there's always a however in life. Like, however.
Yeah.
He's,
and he used to always say, all right, Dan.
All right, Dan.
All right, Dan. Oh, man.
Dude, nobody reviews movies like Reggie anymore, man.
Well, he called him the everyday people's movie review, right?
Yeah.
I used to love it. I didn't always agree with his takes. I'll admit sometimes my tastes tend to go a little highbrow, unfortunately, and artsy, but I got where he was coming from.
Yeah, that's all right. It's all good. On the flip side, the Denver Broncos defense, I have a controversial take, Mace. Are you ready for this?
You controversy, they're no strangers. Go for it.
Exactly. Sam Darnold is the best passing quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has worked with since Matt Ryan. And I've been told this behind the scenes. Now, he's not going to take Brock Purdy's job, but if Brock Purdy's elbow ain't right, and we're not talking about Trey Lance, everybody, Sam Darnold is going to challenge this Broncos defense. I'm looking forward to the reserve Broncos players and Essang Bassey, right? Can he carry that? Russ has been momentum in practice. Essang Bassey has had momentum in practice. I can't wait to see this second unit Broncos defense, third string guys going against Sam Darnold and people are going to write this off, but that will present a challenge that you weren't getting from any Arizona quarterback.
You don't need an elephant's memory to recall Sam Darnold dicing up this defense, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, Carolina had a great running game going in that Thanksgiving weekend game last year in Charlotte. But Sam Darnold, remember, he tested Pat Surtain, firing to DJ Moore.
Yeah.
And I would argue that was Surtain's worst game. You had that game, the Raiders game before
the Devontae game. Yeah.
Yeah. So you look right there, he's got the tools. I believe teams led by Sam Darnold are 2-1 against the Broncos now. And in that one loss, the Jets put up 28 points. That was during the COVID year at MetLife Stadium. So Sam Darnold has done pretty well against the Broncos. Now, again, the result doesn't matter, but don't be surprised if this guy comes out and dices up the Broncos again. And I think you're right. As a passing quarterback, probably the best that Kyle Shanahan has had since Matty Ice. Look, I think eventually Darnold's going to have the job because I'm not sure Brock Purdy made the right choice long-term for this year by not having surgery.
Was it Tommy John's? It wasn't Tommy John's. They put a bracket in his elbow, right?
Right. Well, if he'd had the procedure, it would have been Tommy John.
Okay.
Okay. If you're a baseball fan, you're very familiar with that. It's more rare in football, but it does happen. And you can come back from it. Jake Delhomme had one of his best seasons immediately after coming back from Tommy John surgery when he played for Carolina back in 2008. So it's not a career ender by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be hanging over the 49ers this year. And if you get an inkling of Brock Purdy having some discomfort, I mean, that's why they brought in Sam Darnold. They wanted to make sure they were covered in case Trey Lance didn't develop and in case Brock Purdy had a recurrence of elbow issues.
Right.
So credit to the Niners for making sure their bases were covered. Kyle Shanahan has a history of elevating certain types of quarterbacks one level above their norm. I think Sam Darnold's one of those kind of quarterbacks.
Darnold could be that guy. And there's a thing I'll go back to, Mace. I'll keep it somewhat brief.
Yeah.
But when I reported with very good information, and you probably know who I was talking to, the 49ers almost traded their first-round pick to the Jets for Sam Darnold. The Jets wanted to wait until after Zach Wilson's pro day because he had a little shoulder thing, right, if memory serves, coming out of BYU. So they paused. The 49ers didn't wait. They went ahead and made that trade, which eventually became Trey Lance. So there was already a world where Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were prepared to trade a first-round pick for Sam Darnold. They got their guy.
Yeah. This is going to be an intriguing thing to watch. And look, it's telling of the 49ers talent level that no matter who the quarterback is, we're talking about them being a playoff team. Can be Darnold, can be Purdy, can be Lance. The rest of the team is that good. But I think right now for this season outcome, I think Darnold probably has the highest ceiling of those quarterbacks. And if he's in there executing that offense, staying on schedule, this is a Niners team that can put together a nice season, 12 or 13 wins. I mean, there's a path for the Niners to have the number one seed, have the road to the Super Bowl going through Levi Stadium as it did 4 years ago. We're fixing to find out.
Yeah, they would love that. Now, in addition to players that need repeat performances, your Elijah Garcias, your Jaleel McLaughlin, we've talked about on this show, there's players like a JL Skinner. Can you look good, please? There's players that will make the team in the practice squad. I think this type of game and the next game, because Skinner will play in both, and he's not the only one, Mace, but there are certain players where it's like, okay, you're on the edge, not the bubble. Skinner's going to make the practice squad. I have zero doubt about that. If he plays well, he might make the 53. If he doesn't play well, then the practice squad seems to be his destination.
He's got to show something. I mean, right now at safety, he is behind Delaren Turner-Yell. If there was going to be a spot for him on the 53, it was either going to have to come via injury to one of the top safeties and the domino effect that would ensue, or outplaying DTY. And Turner-Yell looks to be a core 4 special teams player right now. And because of that, I don't think Skinner's getting that roster spot from him. So, and unless he can absolutely ball out on defense. And so I think this is a key game for him. Look, but also don't forget, it's a 6th round pick, right? a lot of 6th-round picks end up on practice squads.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I believe a similar draft range was Matt Paradis, and he spent a year on the practice squad. Obviously, went to the same school as J.L. Skinner, Boise State, and it worked out for Matt Paradis to have a solid career. So,
yeah.
If J.L. Skinner goes on the waiver wire, it's not the end of the road, as long as, at least in regard to the Broncos, it won't be the end of the road for him. With regard to the Broncos, you hope it's not the end of the road, because then he could pass through and go to the practice squad. But I think it's getting early for him in terms of his chance to be on the 53.
A player that may not even make the practice squad, which is interesting because I had predicted he might be one to make the 53, is Thomas Incoom. Yeah. Like, there's certain guys, and not that we're disappointed in an Art Green or a Thomas Incoom, but Marcus Haynes has played better, although the plays against Alberto, not his best, but still, there's some guys man, you got it on tape, maybe even one-on-ones, and Coom's done some stuff, but when it comes to team drill, he just kind of disappears. He's doing a little bit of what Benito did without the grace of being a 2nd-round pick, because Incoom will make a move, it won't work, and then he'll just kind of lock up and stop.
Well, that's the thing. The lesson is being able to stack moves, right?
Yes, like Benito's doing now.
Benito's doing now. Marcus Haynes is stacking moves. This is a reason why Marcus Haynes is ahead of Thomas Incoom right now.
Right.
And I think Haynes has a practice squad spot on lockdown. I'm curious to see what happens with Christopher Allen as well, because I think Haynes is, by and large, accepting the Alberto block. I think Haynes has outplayed Allen so far this training.
Yes, he has. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's going to be some players we're watching very closely. You out in, I hope, sunny California?
It's beautiful. It's sunny, and it was cool today. When I stepped out of the terminal, I remarked, I was texting with a friend. I'm like, oh, this feels fantastic. It's like 74 degrees. And, was thinking back to last week in Arizona when it was like 107. And that was relatively cool compared to what the Valley of the Sun has been dealing with. It's sunny. It's spectacular. I think it's going to be about 81 degrees for the 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff Saturday night at Levi's Stadium. So great night for football. But I will say this, if you're sitting on the sunny side of the stadium, which is where the Broncos bench will be, bring some sunscreen. It notoriously gets very hot on that side of the stadium over there in Santa Clara. So if you're a Bronco fan, want to sit on the same side as your Denver Broncos, and I know there'll be plenty of Bronco fans out there tomorrow night, bring the sunscreen, because at 5:30 p.m., that sun's still going to be out there baking a good portion of those seats. So just be careful.
And San Francisco's weather is so odd. I remember going to a Giants game with Mike Pritchard for that year, and I had to buy a sweatshirt because it was so flipping cold.
Okay. The thing is, the Bay Area has microclimates, right? For example, I'll just check here. I mentioned it's going to be about 81 degrees last I checked for kickoff. Let's get an update.
And San Francisco's what, 40 minutes away? Something like that?
Yeah, it's about a 39 minute drive, but yeah. Okay, 79 at kickoff. Okay, here in Santa Clara. Now let's do the same thing here. Come on, Apple weather. Let's San Francisco. All right. And especially the old Candlestick Park. It was on Candlestick Point. Mm-hmm. So at the same time is scheduled to be 79 degrees at kickoff. If they were playing it at Candlestick, it'd be 63.
Woo!
And I'm going tonight to the Oakland A's Baltimore Orioles baseball game, and at first pitch today, because it's about 80 degrees where I am. First pitch tonight in Oakland, 65 degrees. So I brought a sweatshirt and I brought some sweatpants, man.
You got the 3/4 zip.
Yeah, I have this too. Yeah, but I brought some clothes to, knowing that I'd probably be dealing with a little bit of a cool breeze tonight, So it goes. You have to be prepared when you're out here.
He's always prepared. He is Andrew Mason. He is orange blue today. Sean Honda. Follow him on Twitter and all that stuff at Mace Denver. I am at Cecil Lammey saying, let's go Broncos, man. Until next time, be safe, be kind, know that you're appreciated. Stay tuned. And would you always please, Mace, you already saluted, right?
I can salute again.
Okay. Stay frosty.